What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So in today's video we're going to be going through a complete crash course on SEO. So many of you already follow me on this channel, and if you do and you are an existing subscriber, then you would obviously know that I do regular videos on SEO, affiliate marketing, Amazon affiliate marketing, ClickBank, anything to do with online marketing around the kind of referral range. Okay, but anyway, so what I'm going to do today is just go through a complete breakdown of SEO. So I'm going to go and explain exactly what SEO is, how it's useful to you, and ways that you can actually implement SEO into your online business to make profit or revenues with online marketing, okay? And through this method of traffic. We're gonna go through absolutely everything. First of all, right off the bat, I just wanna let you guys know that as of recording this video, we are obviously currently going through the coronavirus problem. So I'd like to encourage any of you, if I can have my say and encourage anyone through this platform, then I would like to say, just stay at home if possible. Make sure you keep yourself safe, and just spend some time with your friends and family, or you're not even friends with your family at this point in time, and just enjoy it whilst we are in this kind of pandemic at the moment, as they are referring to it as. All right, so anyway, without any further ado, I'm Leon Angus, and today I'm going to teach you all about SEO. So if you are new to the channel, then make sure to hit that subscribe button, and as with always, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to leave me a like throughout the video as well. So what is SEO? If you're a complete beginner, what is this thing and how does it benefit you? Okay, so first of all, SEO is what stands for, it's an acronym for search engine optimization. And this can mean optimizing any kind of search engine. So whether you're doing this on Google, you're doing this on YouTube, you're doing this on Bing, on Yahoo, you're essentially manipulating your piece of content in order to favor the search engine. All right, so that way the search engine can come in, put your website or your piece of content at the top when someone makes a search. All right, so the way that it's really beneficial is because if you're showing up number one and you're at the top rank for any kind of search, then obviously you're going to get a lot of people clicking on a particular product or service or piece of content that you have created. All right, and this is very beneficial if you're doing online marketing, if you have a local business, if you are doing some kind of product launches, if you have like a physical product or something like that, or if it's anything digital as well, which we do with all this affiliate marketing and referral marketing. Now, this video is tailored for beginners, but I'm also going to go through to the actual intermediate advanced stuff throughout the video as well. So for those of you who are watching this and think, okay, I already know what SEO is and blah, 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 well, there are going to be beneficial parts of this video for you, because I'm going to be going through all of the off-page, on-page SEO, all of the actual, more advanced stuff that you may not need to know as a complete beginner. But if you are interested in that, then I would like to encourage you to watch the full video. This is going to be a long video, I already know, which is why I'm just rambling on at the minute, but there's absolutely so much to learn with SEO, and it's actually hard to cram it into a video, as I'm sure many of you can understand. So yeah, you can use SEO for just about anything, honestly. Some people use it for blogging, and as I said, some of the previous things people are using it for as well. Now, how this can become quite profitable and quite beneficial to you is because if you're getting thousands and thousands of people, you've got, say for example, you build a one-page website. So say you build one page on a website and it gets like 500 searches a month. Well, if you're at the top, that's 500 potential people that might click on your piece of content, view it, and then obviously, make a purchase. Now you might think, how does that happen? Well, for example, if we take a fitness kind of industry, if I were going to promote a product like Insanity, I could go and sign up to Insanity on their referral scheme. So that way, they will basically give me a commission for any sales I refer over to them. Now you might think, why would they give you the, potential commission? Well, that's purely because if someone comes over to a company and offers to bring them more custom, then they're usually going to give you a cut. Yeah, that's the way it works. It's just like anything in this world. But the hard part is actually getting the customers. So that's the method of how we get them through the SEO. So bringing our content up to the top of Google and then gaining that traffic from there, all of that search traffic. All right. So what we're doing here is with the SEO, we're actually, trying to get it at the top of the search engine, but we're also going to try and promote something to people as well. Now, you're not going to do that on every piece of content. Some of them are going to be promotional. Some of them are going to be informational. But ultimately, you're going to build like an online resource, a hub full of different pages that are ranking for different keywords. Now, it's the hard part is getting all of them to go number one. That's very unrealistic. And any of you who are more of my experienced followers, you would be able to, inform them on that and support people on that in the comment section. So what you can do is usually get like, on a really good website, you might get 70% of your articles ranking number one, and that's extremely good. On the low end, you might get 30%, of your articles. So that means if you have 30 articles on your site, you might have only 10 of them that are number one. But if obviously, they're all bringing in like 500, 1,000 views a month, this can equate to quite a lot of people. And if you've got websites bringing in, like 50,000 people a month or 100,000 people, you can quickly see how this can equate to quite a bit of cash, especially if you're making like $50 per referral or £50 or £10 even. If you even get, say for example, 10,000 people to a website and then you get a 10% conversion rate, that's still 1,000 people making a purchase on your website every single month. So you can quickly see how this can make you a lot of money. And the thing is, when you can rank a website on Google, say for example, you're going to get consistent traffic. So the reason for that is if your piece of content shows up at the top of a search engine, we go and do research as kind of the SEO, as the term is referred to, as your title, your job title, or your whoever you are, like what you do in that sense. Like you would say that I'm an SEO, okay? Like how you would say someone is a painter or decorator or whatever, yeah? So this is the trade. So as an SEO, you go and do research, and everything we do is based on data. So you go out and you actually search and see like, okay, how competitive is this kind of phrase, yeah? How many searches does it get per month? And then what is the intent behind it? Like, does the person want information? Are they looking for to purchase? So on and so forth. And I'll give you a few examples of that. If we're to talk about, if someone were searching for Insanity, the fitness product, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with, Insanity review, well, they're looking to kind of buy the product, but they just want to see a review. And if you ask yourself the question of whenever you kind of, go and look for, or you're about to make a purchase on something big, say for something over $100 or £100, you're always going to go and search for a review, because you want to get someone's honest opinion before you make the purchase. You want to know, how did someone else find it? Because when you're spending that amount of money, you need to be sure that you're making the right decision. So that's exactly what you would do as an SEO. You would create that piece of content, and then you would obviously persuade the person, if the product is good of course, into making the purchase. So you go through your experience with the product and then obviously recommend the product and then make your commission. And then sometimes you can give them like a bonus, or sometimes we create like our own little online books or a little cheat sheet or something like that. So the person has to use our link in order to get the product, to get those bonuses, and through them getting those bonuses and using your link, it encourages them to use it, so you get the commission. One of the other things that you can do is like best buy articles. So that's like when you do like a comparison. Like if someone types in what is the best fitness program, well, they're looking to buy a fitness program, but they just want to see a comparison of the top 10 or the top 5. So in that kind of article, you would go and review not just one product, but like 5 different products or services and compare them with each other, and then have like a deciding one, whether one is the cheapest or one is the most effective or one is the best for beginners, so on and so forth. And that's how we construct and compose these articles. Or there are sometimes informational articles, which are always very good to kind of use as what we call supporting articles or supporting content for our website. Because if you just have a bunch of best this and best that and product review this, it doesn't look very friendly to someone coming into your business for the first time, if you're predominantly obviously doing this for online business. And it's also not very beneficial to search engines, because they can understand that you're just trying to make money, and they don't want that. They want good resources on the internet. And that goes for Bing, Yahoo, search, Google, YouTube, whatever it is. You don't want to just be, YouTube, you can kind of get away with that, but for those particularly like article content based written word type of search engines, you definitely want to kind of have a balance, okay? And you can go 80% buyer intent and 20% informational, or the other way round. It's totally up to you, you know, so that's quite subjective, and that depends on the kind of method that you're going to take, which I'm going to get into in this video as well. All right, so what we would go out and do is, you know, go do our research, as I said. Then once we kind of understand that this is the kind of keyword or whatever we're going to write about, then we would go and basically create that piece of content, make sure that it answers exactly what someone's looking for. Because think about when you make a search on Google, you want to get the answer, and you're quite annoyed if you don't get the answer. It's quite frustrating. So the better you get the answer, the more trust you build up with that website, or sometimes you just click through and you go off and whatever else. There's many different approaches depending on what kind of, you know, business you're going to build on the internet. Now, the reason why this is so beneficial and why I'm doing this video is because, you know, it's such a high return on investment. To get these kind of returns in something like, say, for example, property, you'd have to front like hundreds of thousands of pounds or dollars in order to make like 500 profit per month. With a website, the front end cost could be as small as like $20 a month, and you could make like 500 plus per month, you know, and it's very kind of easy for anyone to do. If you've got no experience on the internet and you're brand new to this, it doesn't matter what you do or what your previous history is, it's something that everyone can do, okay? And the only reason why anyone fails with this kind of thing or with anything online is usually because they give up. So if you don't give up, you can definitely make this work. And if you already have like a local business or something like that, then this is also beneficial for you, because you can bring more customers into your business and you can have consistency and build up trust on the internet as well. And especially during a time like this, it would be very useful to have that online presence to really, you know, be getting consistent custom still, even if your brick and mortar business is not open. And of course, you can do things like building up an email list and whatever else, so you can actually have people's contact details to get in touch with them as and when you want, okay? So there's many different benefits that you can do with this type of search traffic. Today, I'm just going to break down absolutely everything that you need to know. So what is the end goal with SEO? Like, for example, if you are an affiliate marketer like me and my, you know, family on the channel, what do we do? Like, why do we do it? You know, what's the end goal? Because, you know, we could keep building these websites, or we could build one, or, you know, what is the kind of plan about this whole thing? Me personally, I think it's quite subjective, but for me personally, my end goal is to have a portfolio of websites and then sell a few along the way in the portfolio to get massive bumps in income. So for example, the average multiple on selling websites these days are like 30 times monthly income. Okay, so if you are selling a website, say for example, that's making $1,000 per month, well, you can sell that for $30,000 on average. Yeah, if you've got a website making $3,000 a month, you can on average sell that for $90,000. So you can see how it can equate to quite a bit of money very quickly. And if you were to, you know, sell like one or two along the way and make a couple $100,000, you could obviously then still keep a portfolio of different websites that are bringing in that passive monthly income, the cash flow. And then you have these massive kind of capital gains as well every so often when you let one of them go out of the portfolio. And once you've got this skill set, you can rinse and repeat this method. So you're constantly on an uphill climb. All right. Now, one of the other things is that the end goal for other people is to just build up these websites and then go into something else. So some people might build it up, then use that cash flow or that income to then go into a different venture. Sometimes it's investing into the stock market, sometimes it's into property, sometimes it's into, you know, more businesses, buying and selling online, or maybe going into Amazon fulfillment, you know, on drop shipping and all of these other kind of business models that you find online. So there's many different things and many different ways of how you can use this. The reason why I think this is one of the best business models for anyone to start with on the internet is because it gives you all of the skill sets that you can later use down the road. And a lot of experienced marketers that you'll find usually started with like a blog or a website because it has a low barrier to entry and it's very easy to learn, or someone, you know, starting out. So for example, what you want at the end is to be in something called authority mode. So in SEO, what that is when you are at a stage where your website has built up so much authority and it's so trusted and so powerful that you can potentially put up a piece of content on the website, providing that it's on, you know, a particular topic that's relevant to your niche or your kind of coverage on the website, you can insta rank. And what that means is you instantly show up for particular keywords within the space of sometimes hours to days, and you will show up like ultimately on the first or second page of Google. So by the time you're doing this and you're publishing tons of content, you could publish today, show up number 3 or number 5, publish again, show up number 10, number 8. But you have to think, if you're doing this for keywords that are getting like 1,000 searches a month or 500 searches a month, so on and so forth, or even 10,000 searches a month, well then this is going to add monthly income, because now that's all of those new people coming in, all making these purchases and all clicking different things. Okay, so you can monetize a website in many different ways, but the focus of this video today is not going to be on monetization, it's going to be on SEO. So how do you do all of this? How does it work? How do you go out and do all this SEO and all this technical stuff and whatever else? Well, there's a few steps to doing it. One of them is being keyword research. So you have to go out and, as I said, ascertain the right keywords that have the right level of competition that you can obviously beat, and also the right level of traffic, so you know that there's enough people searching for that topic that are going to potentially come into your website or business. The next thing you need to do is understand the search intent. And the reason why you need to understand the search intent is because you can't construct or compose a piece of content that's relevant to what someone's searching for unless you understand what they intend to do or what they want out of it. Okay, so the way you can best answer that and then best understand it is by actually going and doing research on the internet, which I'll explain throughout this video later on as well. And that's one of the biggest ranking factors, or one of the biggest things I should say, that Google are focusing on at the moment, is the intent of the user, because ultimately they can't afford to be sending people to different pieces of content that make no sense to what someone was looking for. Okay, so you really need to understand that in its full integrity. The next thing is going to be on-page and off-page SEO. Now what this is basically, on page we are doing different things, like I said, to manipulate that piece of content, and it's not in a scam or spam way or anything like that, so don't get that all out of your head, hacking and all of that. It's basically manipulating the piece of content to be search engine friendly. Okay, so we're doing what the search engines want, okay, in order to rank a piece of content, because you could have the best piece of content in the world, but if you don't do this SEO stuff, then you're not going to show up at the top of the search engine. So in order to show up at the top, you have to have a good piece of content, and also it has to be optimized in the right way. And don't worry if you don't have any experience on that, because you're going to be learning all of that inside of this video. Now the off-page SEO side is basically something called backlinks, and that's like just about the last thing that you need to understand. What this emulates is votes. For example, if you got like a piece of content on the internet, if you get these other websites that are very similar, like on the same topics, but also sending like links over, so referring you on their website over to your site, that's going to increase the authority of your site, because they're essentially telling the search engines, we vote for them, we're giving them a kind of vote from us that they are credible and this is a good resource. So say for example, it's the same as me creating this YouTube video, and then many of you may know who Logan Paul is. It's like Logan Paul sharing my piece of content, on one of his accounts, his Twitter or something like that. Well, there's going to be a ton of people coming over to my resources, because by him voting for me and saying this person's good, this is a credible resource, immediately I'm leveraging all of the authority and trust that he's built up over those years. But that's the same way that it works with websites, but the only difference with a website is not only will you get traffic if the actual piece of content they're sharing you on is getting views, you will also be able to channel some of their authority over to your website. Now, the way your website works is we use something called interlinking, which is when you link from one page to another to basically leverage that power that comes over, or the authority that comes over from these external resources. So say for example, your website is here with one page, then you build another one, then you build another one, then you build another one and another one. Well, when you build all of those different pages, you can link between them to actually pass pass that authority throughout your whole website. So that means if this page about biceps gets a link, it's then going to pass through all of your pages and all around your website, which will obviously be very beneficial to increasing the overall authority of the rest of your website, even though the link only came to one page on the site. Okay, and when you've got this happening and you've got all these different external links happening for different pages, your overall authority starts to obviously go through the roof. And that's exactly what we want to do with SEO, because by the time you gain like a very kind of credible authority within that niche, then it will come to a point where you can insta rank, and that's ideally where you want to be. So if I were to summarize it in 3 steps, you just have to know keyword research, good content, how to create that, and backlinks. That's the 3 steps to SEO, and that's what we're going to go through today. All right, so I was going to do this in like a PowerPoint presentation or something like that, but I thought, you know what, let me just do it completely raw and just show you the whole thing, because until I understood this, I really wasn't making any progress with SEO. So the first thing you need to understand is the way Google works. So the way Google works in particular is it works on a basis like a library. And you might think, what? Like, how does it work like that? Or you might make the comparison and think, you know, where it has lots of content. Well, it's a bit deeper than that. The way that Google works is basically it has a big index that it holds all of the different articles and posts and whatever of different websites, so on a page by page basis on the internet. Now those pages are made up of obviously something more whole, which is a website, but the overall authority is kind of determined on that page through the basis of previous history on the site that it comes from. Okay, but the way that Google finds these different pieces of content is through links. Okay, through interlinking. So that's how they understand like what's relevant or what's linked to what and whatever, so on and so forth. So you can see here, if we actually come onto Google, I can show you the way that it works when Google comes through. Now, the analogy that we use in SEO is that Google is a spider, okay? So you might even hear SEOs or even professionals at Google refer to it as a spider or crawling. And what that is basically making the analogy of a spider crawling a web to the internet, which is the web, and obviously, you know, Google crawling its index on the web. Okay, so if we take a look at this is the typical kind of situation on a website when Google will come through and understand like your homepage, the categories, and the sub pages. All right, so that's the same thing, and this is how obviously again you can understand it. So Google is like a spider and it crawls the internet, but obviously that's how it finds different pages across the internet and how it crawls your specific website. Yeah, but let me actually show you another picture of how Google indexes. So there's an actual really good video online that you can see on this as well, on Google's index by a guy called Matt Cutts from Google. He's not with Google anymore, as one of my subscribers made me aware of recently, but it's still a very good video, very relevant for you to understand, that you can find. All right, so I can't find anything specifically on the index here. But the way it works is like this, and this is exactly, just imagine these were all the pages on the internet. That's exactly how it finds different things, and how it links from one page to another or from one website to another is through the links. Okay, so if there's one page recommending another one, then it will go through the links and find that other resource and so on and so forth, and that's how it finds it all through the index. All right, now sometimes if you're obviously, you know, optimized in the right way and you're answering it in the right way, the search engines can potentially understand just a small section of your website through let's just have a look, through the code. Okay, so for example, if we go into my website here, leonangus.com or whatever, yeah, if we go into here and we right click, you'll be able to see, just say for example the keyword I'm trying to rank for is super affiliate. If we go and search, I'll show you how search engines will see this site. If we're going to optimize for the word affiliate, you'll be able to see how many times I'm using it here. Look, so let's actually see this. Sorry, so this is the code. Actually, let's not even look at this version. Let's look at this page resource. And if we take a look, you don't need to understand any of this stuff. But if I were to do a search for the word affiliate, you'll see how search engines understand it. Look, so you can see I've used that word 57 times on the page, and I haven't tried to
optimize in that way for it. Like specifically, I'm naturally using these terms. So this is another way that search engines will understand where your content is, and then based on user engagement, it will test you and put you up the top of the ranks at the beginning to see how people kind of respond to it, to determine where you belong in the search engines. So that's why some of you may say, oh well, I'm not using backlinks and I've ranked pages before. That's only because obviously the search engine has tested your article. That's why you first of all see something called the Google dance, where it's testing your article and it's bouncing up and down in the search results. And that's because like basically Google's testing it. They're trying to put it at the forefront to see, okay, how did 10 people perform with this? You know, I'm just using that number as a kind of example, but they might say, all right, 10 people saw it, but they didn't click it, you know, so that's like click-through rate, you know, bad click-through rate. Or 10 people saw it, one clicked it, but then that person spent 5 minutes on the page, and then they click through to another page on the website. That's all good user experience. So if you can get lots of people doing that on a high percentage, then obviously, you know, you're going to show up high in the ranks. Okay, and this is basically how search engines are reading your site, all in the code. They can't really understand the context so much, but they are starting to actually understand these kind of things. But mainly it's understanding, you know, the keywords and the links, which is something called anchor text that we use. Like for example, you can see here how this is a link. Well, that's something called anchor text. And this also is a ranking factor. Okay, so the search engine's actually using this to understand what the content's about. Now, some people do like exact match. So this is an exact match anchor text. So this is exactly the same as the keyword I'm trying to rank. And you can see like through the on-page SEO, I'm trying to basically optimize this piece of content up here because I'm using it in the URL, I'm using it in the title, and I'm also using it in this anchor text as well. But let's have a look if I'm using it like when I typed, I'm not sure actually, I can't see it, but this is called the meta description. So if I were using it in this, when someone types in super affiliate review or whatever, that would be obviously also a ranking factor as well. Okay, so you can see obviously how this kind of thing works. And this stuff that I'm showing you here is called on-page SEO. But I'm going to go in depth with that in just a bit. Okay, so that's just the article that I wrote earlier. So one of the other things you're going to need to focus on is the speed of your website. So say, for example, we were going to go and find the keyword. So say, for example, I wanted to find, you know, I wanted to build a site. So this example, this site here, is obviously my site, which is about affiliate marketing, and this links to my YouTube channel, so on and so forth. But say, for example, I wanted to, I don't know, do this fitness website, okay? Well, what I could do is I could go to different resources on the internet, say, for example, a website like Answer the Public, and I could put in fitness, okay? And if I put in fitness and press search, it's going to give me a bunch of different phrases that people are searching on the internet that I can potentially use to try and rank for. So if I click that, I can see, like, you know, these are the questions people are asking. But that's not good enough for me to actually go out and create a piece of content. I have to also understand or know that I can rank for it as well. Okay, so the way you can determine that is by going and searching and seeing what level of competition is surrounding these keywords. So say, for example, if I put this in, and the way you can do that is through tools, or if you understand your industry, you can do this by manual research. I saw this like exercise.co.uk. I just know that that's like an official branded website. Like it just because the URL is just exercise, you know, it's going to be like probably like into the hundreds of thousands to buy that domain name. And yeah, you just know it's an official kind of website. Or the news, you know, like you just know, or shape.com, you just know these are massive Goliath websites. So for you to rank for something like that is going to be very hard. Now you can see on here that it says 0 searches, but that's not always the case, because sometimes it's a new search, or sometimes it's something that's just trending, so on and so forth, and the actual tools do not pick up on it. Tools are not working on a day-by-day basis. They work on like historic data. So it's over like the last 12 months, how many people searched it, so on and so forth. And if it doesn't have like a ton of traffic, then it could be missing it. As you can see with all these other keywords, like, I mean, you most definitely know this doesn't have 0 search volume, because this is workout classes. It's a massive kind of keyword that everyone's searching. So in order to understand this better, we use something called keyword tools. So the particular tool I recommend for anyone starting out is going to be this tool here, which is called keysearch.co. I've left a link to this in the description box. And what this does is it allows you to determine and ascertain all of the relevant information for a particular keyword. So say, for example, if we're trying to find out more about this working out classes, we don't have, the kind of resource or the understanding to do this manually because we're new. Okay, so in this example we're going to go in and determine it from here. So you can see this tool is actually telling us it gets 10 searches a month, and then you can see the overall trend that has come higher over the last couple of months and so on. Okay, now like I said, you don't want to pay absolute attention to this, because you can see workout classes and working out classes probably the same thing. Okay, it's just determined or spelt differently or phrased differently in that sense. But what you can see here is this gives you a score, and when you see like red, it usually means it's very difficult. So you can use different tools and different things to actually help you to understand how difficult a keyword is. But this is not the holy grail, this is just a guideline. Okay, so if we look at this, one of the other things that we can use to determine another kind of tool in your analysis is basically checking the domain authority of a website. So remember earlier at the beginning of this video, I was talking about websites having authority, like when they've built up a lot of authority and they can potentially insta-rank, and they're almost bulletproof, because when they've got all of this kind of, it's like you go into war and they've got a ton of armor on them and all the best weapons, and then you've got like kind of just like a stick and nothing. Okay, so that's exactly how it works in comparison. So the only way you can win a battle most probably right now is by maybe having more people in your team or having better tools, utensils, whatever, to fight the battle, but better whatever weapons. But anyway, if we come down, you can see like this is like Groupon, which is a high authority website, and you can see here that that's 88 domain authority, 90, 88, so on and so forth. And what this metric represents is the page's authority, because although the actual domain might have a certain authority, what about that particular page? Because say, for example, the overall website has like 100 of these big massive links or votes coming to it, but this page has 0 on that particular page. Well, that page is going to have a lower authority than the rest of the website. So the way that that is determined on a page by page basis, because remember I said Google indexes the content on the internet on a page by page basis. It doesn't do it on an overall website. It doesn't go shove that website into a bunch of different things on this niche. It's more like this page specifically, and that's how it works. And when you're working on all of these specific pages, it combines and obviously amounts into a big website. Okay, so you can see here from the metrics, the page authority. So sometimes they got a very high domain authority, but the page authority is lower. Now, this is just all guidelines. Again, it doesn't mean that this is the only metric you pay attention to. This is like different metrics. I don't personally use this. This is like Moz. This is authority. So this shows you that how many of those big, powerful websites are giving them votes, and then how many overall kind of votes they're getting, from other small websites, resources, social media, and all that stuff. And then you can see here whether they've used the keyword, as I was saying, on the on-page SEO, in the title, in the description, in the URL, so on and so forth. So all of these different things can make you come to a decision of whether you would be able to outrank them. And it doesn't stop there, because you need to know exactly how long to write your content. You need to know how many times to use certain words, so on and so forth. And I'm going to show you all of that inside of this video. So one of the things that we're going to do here is you would basically get the keyword, and you would see that this is very difficult and it has a low search volume. Now, this doesn't mean that you couldn't rank for it, because if you saw this and then you saw this as well, that goes into your research now, because workout classes and working out classes are probably going to return the same results. And just to prove that to you, if I delete this, we can see that the top one is ClassPass, and then Groupon and SB Nation, and you'll see it will only slightly change if it does change at all. Okay, so we'll just wait for that to happen. So we have had quite a change on this particular search. So even sometimes you can understand that where I think it's completely almost the same, it's not exactly to the search engine. So this is proof of that. But a lot of the time it's like giving the example of, if you say, what's the best computer for gaming online? Okay, and then you could say, what's the best PC for gaming online? It's probably going to return the same similar kind of results because it understands that you mean the same thing, which is why I say understanding search intent is super important for you to know. All right, so that's that anyway. Now, once you've constructed like a page and whatever else, you've got your keyword, you go and potentially write the content. What you need to do is, before writing the content, let me just fit in one thing. You need to understand the intent. And the way you do that is by this. Look, if I go back and I say working out classes, the way I can understand what people are searching for is by, first of all, using this. So these questions here. You could also open competitors' websites. So say, for example, this is Groupon, so that's not going to be relevant. But say, for example, if we do this page here, say, for example, we look at this page here. Well, we need to basically understand what subtopics we need to be putting in. And sometimes you can do this on the whim because you can understand, okay, well, someone's asking this question, they're also going to want to know this and that. Well, this is, you could go and research it here. So this is like giving all these trendy workout classes. So that's actually not bang on exactly what people are looking for, because they're looking for working out classes. And sometimes you'll see this happen. This website's showing up because Google just feels that they're also relevant to the topic, or they don't have other results that are specifically answering this query. So these websites are not actually optimized specifically for this keyword. They're just showing up because Google feels that they're best suited, or they don't have any other resources that are as closely related to the search. And sometimes it could be as simple as beating the competition, even if they have all that authority, if you write exactly what someone is looking for. That's not always the case. There's many different variables that go into that, but that can be the case in some circumstances. So the other way we can understand what this is about is by looking at the related searches, because when someone's asking one question, they're also searching for other things as well. So you can see working out classes. The reason why I was able to know this is because I'm experienced. But if we look at this, you can see like trendy workouts that you should consider trying. These are things that saying, oh, well, these are things you could try out, different workout classes. That's not it. If someone's searching for workout classes, they're looking for something local to them or something online or something. They just want classes. They don't want they don't want to see what's trending and all of that kind of thing. Or maybe they do want that kind of a little bit of information there, but they're more looking for something next to them. And this is what you can see. Look, workout classes near me. So you can understand how just from actually reading this, you would have went off on the wrong track. So you could actually go off and create a whole piece of content on the wrong track if you were just looking at the competition like this. Because in order to truly understand, you must look at the competition, but you must also make the search. So this is where you can find a kind of divergence, as we used to say in trading. There's a divergence in the intent, because what the person is looking for and what the content is, what the pieces of content that are showing up is not matching up. It's not merging, because if someone was looking for this, they type this, these resources are not particularly answering it. So even though they have more authority than you, if you created a piece of content that specifically answers it, you're probably going to have a way better chance at ranking in the top 10 than you think. Okay, and obviously in order to truly understand it and make your subtopics, you want to understand what they want. So you would obviously, maybe list out a bunch of workout classes in a local area. Okay, so it depends on what areas you're targeting or what you're doing. I mean, if this was just workout classes, this would only be, I don't know how this would work, because this is going to have to be for Google My Business, because people just want to see local results. Okay, so that would be if you have a brick and mortar shop, this would be like the perfect kind of way to get something. You'd show up for the local search. When someone searches that and they're near you, it will come up in here. So these are what people want to see. This is exactly what they want to see, and Google knows that, which is why they're showing these at the top and these underneath, But for a local business, what you want to do is you want to show up here, and you also want to show up in the organic results as well. All right, so this is called Google My Business Results, and it's where you show up in the maps, okay? So what we do to show up at the top of the search engines is try to make our user experience as good as possible. So we want to, first of all, this is number one, is creating the content. We want to make sure that the content answers what they're looking for, and we want to also make sure that it's a good experience. So it has lots of images, lots of media, that it helps them to understand the topic to the best of their ability. And also, on top of it, it also needs to be fast, okay? So it loads fast. Because think about when you get onto a website, the worst thing that you hate, especially on mobile, is when it just takes forever. You're like, oh, get off this, I don't want to see it. Well, that's a bad signal to Google for the user experience if someone clicks off and clicks away like that. So you want to have a fast loading website, and Google actually does measure this metric. This is a ranking factor. So in order to show up at the ranks, this is one of the things you have to get right, okay? So this is my website. You need a good theme, you need all of that. Yeah, this theme's called Schema, if you ever want to know what this is. I'm not going to go through installing themes and all of that stuff in this video. It's purely for SEO. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually next going to show you how to find out your speed of your page. Now, mine might not be a good example because it's probably not the best, but so there's websites like one called pingdom.com, which is a speed test website, and there's also websites like Google's own website, which is called Google Page Speed Insights. So I'm going to show you something here. Okay, so you can see here, ideally you want your pages loading in under 2 seconds. Now this doesn't show you absolutely everything that's loading on the page. It actually only shows you like a partial part. I'm not going to go in depth with that, okay? So this will give you a very good kind of guideline, but in order to see the true, like everything of how it's loading, you do head over to Page Speed Insights. Mine is embarrassing when I just took a look. So you can see here mine's a 0 to 49, which is terrible on mobile. And then on desktop, you can see that it's in the middle, like medium. Okay, and what you want is green for both of them. So you want 90 to 100 on here and 90 to 100 on mobile, or at least in the medium, at least, because mobile is always going to load a little bit slower than you will get on desktop. Okay, the reason why this shows a different result is purely because it's loading absolutely top to bottom everything on the page, okay, and determining that, opposed to this one just loads up the most important things at the beginning, like the content and images and whatever. All right, so this is how mainly really and truly users will see it. So, if you get a good score on this, you're probably on a good track. All right, so anyway, one of the other things is having like a heavy website, like heavy page. So remember, everything we do is on a page by page basis, for most part anyway. So if we look at this, you can see like my images might be big in megabytes, okay? So you want like a page that's probably under a megabyte large, unless it's like a really long article and it has lots of images. So the way you can slim these down is by going to like a website called tinypng.com, or you could just use like, I've got like Adobe Photoshop, and I can reduce it in there. But what you want to do is use them as JPEG images. If they're PNG, then convert them to JPEG, and you want to reduce the file size. Okay, so if it's like 1 megabyte, that's huge. Even if it's large in size, you want it to be a thin image. You don't want it to be heavy. So the way you can do that is by reducing the quality, well, not the quality, but the density of the image, okay? So that's the way you would do that. Now, when we come down, after you've got your page speed right, you've got your, all of your content written, the next thing you're going to need to do is your on-page SEO. So the way that you do your on-page SEO is by basically optimizing what I call the three kings. Okay, so this is something, it's a concept from Matt Diggity, who I learn from at the moment. But basically what it is you want to optimize your URL. So say for example we've got this, you want your keyword in there in the what we call the permalink. Then you want your keyword in the title, and then you want your keyword in the meta description. Now you might say, how do I get it into the meta description? Well, the way you do that, and the meta description is this. I'll show you. It's this. It's this thing. This is meta. Okay, so all these results is called meta. You want the keyword to show up here. The way you get it to show up there, and obviously ideally in here, but this is not actually a ranking factor if it's in the description. In the description, it just increases the amount of people that click it. But for the actual ranking factor of where you show up and what's taken into consideration, it will be this title, which is called the meta title. And this is the meta description. So you want to optimize both of them with the keyword, but ideally this is the most important. Okay, and basically if we log into this website, there are plugins or, aka applications that you can use on a website to help you enforce that on a website. So I'm using one called Rank Math. And what that does is basically you can use Yoast SEO or Rank Math, whatever it is you want to use. So you can see this, it's telling me, it's giving me a bad score, like, for my schema and whatever else. So let's have a look. Let me go into this article and I'll show you how to optimize for this stuff. So the way you can do this is by basically coming down, say for example, on a website like this. And then once you've written your content, so you got like your content here, you'd have the title here. So say for example, we're trying to do, what was it again? Workout classes. So you'd go workout classes. Well, one of the things you need to have it in is here. Yeah. So one of the keyword has to be within this title, because this is the H1. And what that is basically headings are determined on the internet with different numbers. So depending on the level of authority they have, will depend on the type of title they have, and the way that the structure that you want to follow needs to go is through H1, and then anything that's within the content is going to be H2, any of the main topics, and then any subtopics of a H2 title will be a H3. So say for example, this is like example heading. If we had this and this was H2, as it would have to be, because you don't use any other H1 than the one in the title, in the main title, and that's already set for you, by the way. You don't have to edit that. You can see here, look, you can see H2. This is WordPress, by the way, yeah? So this is how you would do it. But you can see like title, that's a H1, so it just says title, so it knows that it's the title, and Google knows that. And then obviously the H2 is example heading. But then if we had something under there, so we had some text, but then we had like a subheading saying subheading of example heading. Okay, so this is a subtopic. Well, what you would want to do is you'd make that a H3. Okay, and the way you do that is by just doing what I just did. You just go up here, change it from paragraph to heading or whatever, and then make sure that it's a H3. And then if I had a subtopic of that, it would become a H4, and that's how you optimize your headings for search engines. Okay, so you do H4, so on and so forth. So you have to make sure that it follows that sequence. And then if you had like another section that was like a big section again, it's a complete separate one. So it's not, because all of these H3s and H4s are related under this one H2. But if you're doing something, a new topic within this article, then you would do another H2 and then follow anything underneath that being a H3 and 4 again. So you can see how it works. That's the structure you follow, okay? And that would be like a H3 and that would be a H4 if it was a subtopic. All right, so that's how that works. Now, when you come down to the bottom, you can see that your meta description is automatically filled from what you fill in here, okay? So you can fill it in like this, yeah? So that's fine. In most cases, that's good enough. That's all you need to do. But the difference is, when someone comes into your article, you need to let them know that you have the answer. So your main focus is going to be having the keyword, but also letting them know that you have the answer. Now, by no means do you have to have the phrase exactly the same. Okay, as long as you include the words, even if classes was down here, as long as it reads well, like if you had, the best classes to work out, near you, that's fine as well. That because you've got workout classes inside of the title. Now, a lot of SEOs will teach you to put the keyword in the phrase to the left-hand side. So front loading, we call it. That's very beneficial, but it depends on what kind of website you're building and what kind of article. If you're doing a review post, then I might do that. If you're doing like something informational, like, 16 or 10 best classes to work out near you, or something like that, then you might do it like this, so it depends. But ultimately, understand that the search engines are going to do exactly what I showed you before. When it comes in and it actually we can't view page source. If we preview, I'll show you what the search engine will do and how it shows up. It's going to be like this. Look, so it's actually going to be view page source, and it's going to be like classes. And it's going to know, like, oh, that's within a H1, because these titles, look, you can see it's inside of a title tag, okay? So this is all code and stuff that you don't need to understand. But that's what it does. This is for search engines. This is your coding when you do this stuff, okay? So you can see it's within the code title. Like, it's telling it, this is a title, the word classes is in there, okay? And then you can see it's within, like, the meta as well. And then you've got workout. Again, it's going to be, if I can spell it right, inside of the title. So you can see how this works, okay? So you have to put it in there. And then the next place, so you got it in there, and then the next place is in here, okay? And you want to keep this short and as neat as possible. So if it's workout classes, you just want to put workout classes. You can use an exact match keyword in here, and that's it. So workout classes, so kidaffiliate.com/workout classes, because that's the keyword you're trying to optimize for. So you've got workout classes in the title, workout classes in the permalink, and then workout classes in the meta description, meta title, sorry. Remember I said the meta description, this is desktop, how it looks on desktop, and this is mobile. This is called Yoast SEO, this plugin. Okay, so I use Rank Math and Yoast on different sites. But yeah, what you want to do, Yoast is probably a lot easier to get started with, I'll be honest with you. It's been around for a longer time, it's a lot easier. And it also gives you some information on, if you're using words too many times, like, that's not user friendly, like if it sounds like spam, whatever. But in regards to this, you can change that as well. Look, if you don't want your site title like kidaffiliate.com on the end of it, you can do that, or you can have it. You see how it says my blog or whatever? You could change that, because if my website's not named, because this is an example, it's called my blog, but you could do that. So you can see how you can change this title. You could have a different thing in here than what you could have on the page. You see, this one you want to optimize for people clicking through. Okay, so you want to get people, like, you want to put something that's going to make someone click. Okay, so something like that's going to spark the curiosity or whatever. On this, you're confirming that they're in the right place. Okay, so when someone lands, this is called above the fold, because this is what they see above the fold. Below the fold is below this area here when they scroll down. Okay, so you always want to have the most important information on the top above the fold. So letting them know they're in the right place, and in the first introduction telling them that they're going to get the answer they're looking for today. Okay, so that's exactly how you optimize your titles. Now, for the rest of the on-page SEO, you're going to need to do something called true density, which is your keyword density, because you need to know how many times do you put this keyword in there, or any other keywords that's related to it. And also you need to know, like, obviously how to do your outbound links. Now, outbound links, I always kind of analyze the competition to see what they're doing. So for example, if we go back to my tool and we drum in, say for example, workout classes. So let's go back to my tool, my key search tool. And what you can do is you can actually drum in the keyword. If you got like a really good tool, like, really, this one's good, but it has its limits because it's cheap. But if you had like a really kind of expensive tool, you'd be able to find more accurate information. But say for example, I took this, like this is a high authority, so it should give me the info. We put this in here. Well, what you would want to do is you want to look at the for the top 5, I would say, the anchor text that they're using on the outbound links. Okay, so for example, if we determine anchor text is these things here. Look, I'll show you. So go to so if we go to this, for example, page analyzer, we can see SEO keywords. So let's have a look. So you can see this, yeah. So these are in-page links. So you can see external links and external links pass induced. So what this is basically, these are the links, and then you can see the SEO keywords. So you can see how many times they're using these keywords. Look, flea is in here, or collar, this is for that word or whatever. But what you would do is you're basically trying to determine whether they're using like branded keywords. So like, you know, something that's to do with their company brand or website brand. So this one would be like something to do with pet life. All right. Or they're using URLs. So they're using like a URL, like, you know, I'll go click this link, and then they link this whole thing. Or they could be using like a miscellaneous link, like click here, blah, 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 whatever tool that you have. I can't remember exactly how to find it on this tool, but you would basically go and ascertain and find out how many kind of the percentage of the top 5 of what they're using on anchor text. Because say, for example, they're all using like click here, click here, click here, and then you go and put your exact keyword in there. Well, that's over optimizing for that particular, what Google wants to see for that one page. Okay, so if Google wants to only see miscellaneous anchor text for this page, for this specific page on the internet, and this keyword specifically, then that's what you need to do. And the only way you can find that out is by looking at the competitors' websites. Okay, so I know how to do it on Ahrefs, but not on this tool, which I'm recommending you, because I never used to really do it on here. Now, if you don't really get that, if you don't really understand that to that degree, what you can do anyway is you can just link out to something that's going to help the reader to understand that piece of content better. So say it was on workout classes, you could link out to something to do with workout classes to help them find more like of a resource or more resources, and just make sure that it's a highly authoritative website, because Google's going to use it also to determine what your website or page is about. Okay, so it's an important ranking factor as well, you know, on what anchor text you use and the word that you highlight to use. And the way you would apply that link is by just simply selecting over it in WordPress, put in the link that you're linking to and pressing enter, and now that's a link that goes to whatever it is that you put in there. Okay, now the next thing you would want to do is also use a good interlinking structure, because if you have, say for example, a bunch of different categories on your website, so say for example this is a website here and it has like culture, food and drink, events, so on and so forth. Well, you would probably want to link to the other articles within that kind of a category. Okay, so in SEO we call this a silo structure. And what that is basically, it's the process of categorizing the articles on your site in order to be search engine friendly and also beneficial to your users, because, you know, it can be a lot easier for them to navigate the site. If you just had a bunch of pages scattered across your website, it's going to be a lot easier if you actually have them all organized. So this is like a flat structure. As you can see, what some people do, they just do like this, and then they just link like that one to that one and that one to that one and whatever. That's okay, that's great, and it will rank. It's not that you won't rank without it. But if you really want to be search engine friendly, then you want to do something like this. So you want to have your categories, then you want to link to subcategories from there, and then you want to link those subcategories to pages and posts only within that sector or that category within that silo, and then that will link back to the home page. Okay, so you want to link this down to here and that back to the home page, this to that and that back to category, that to that back. So you want it like a feedback loop for each one. And if you link from subcategories to posts, you want those posts to link back to subcategories, because ultimately these are linking back to the categories anyway, and that category is linking back to the home page. So that's exactly how it works. And you can see here how a website could work, because you could have a category there, which could be food and drink, like this website here. So that would be like food and drink. And then you've got like this one here, which would be culture. And then you've got events there, which would be like this one here. And then blog, which would be, they usually have a blog on here somewhere or whatever. And that would be just your blog reel. So that would be the latest articles. So even though it will have some of these in there, don't worry about it. It's just the latest blog reel. And this really helps you to rank, because obviously it helps the search engines understand truly what your content is about. So if you want to know more about silo structures, you can actually watch a really good video by Miles Beckler or Warren Wheeler over on YouTube as well. Now, at this point, once you've done your content and all of that, and you've optimized it, all of your on-site stuff, this could be quite beneficial and good enough if you've done your keyword research in a great way to just rank. Okay, so you could rank just like that without doing anything further. But in some cases, what you'll need to do is then go on to off-site SEO. And what that is basically the process of building up your backlink profile. So the first step for anything is always going to be like, building up your social links. Okay, so social media. So when you're doing SEO, you're basically trying to emulate like exactly what search engines want to see and what they're used to seeing, like for a genuine website on the internet or genuine business. So the first thing that happens is people go and create a bunch of content and then they start to share it. So that's exactly what you want to do. But ultimately, if you can share it on social media and build all of that up, that's great. But the first thing I would recommend you do is go and create social media accounts. So you want like social media accounts linking back to your account that are with the same name and with the same profile and all of that kind of thing, because search engines are going to obviously understand that, Facebook through here is also the user's profile of the same creator of the blog, and so on and so forth. And then that allows you to do something called social signals. And what that is basically it emulates a topic or post going viral on your website. But you wouldn't want to do this until you've got some traffic coming to your site, because ultimately your website or post can't get shared until it gets traffic. So once it starts getting some traffic, then you would go and do the social signals. And the reason why that's the beneficial part is because all of the stuff I've just showed you should get you on the page like 3 or 4 or whatever. You're going to get on like page 3 or 4 on Google just doing that stuff that I've showed you. But then after, in order to get to like positions, 2 and 1 and all of that page 2 and page 1, you need to do a bit extra.
All right, so the next website I wanted to show you was a website called Surfer SEO. And this is how you essentially manage like your on-page SEO. So the way that you know how many times to put a keyword in and all of that kind of information is using this. So I did actually pre-record this yesterday and I messed up. Like, first of all, I messed up the audio on the previous part of this video, which I apologize for at this point. And also on top of it, I also had like my the video of me taking over the whole screen, so you couldn't see what I was doing. So I'm having to redo it. So yesterday when I came in, what I did is I basically put in the same keyword that we were trying to rank for. So say, for example, if you came into this tool, the first thing you're going to look at is it tells you could use this content editor, by the way, if you are not already ranking for the term and it's a brand new article that you're creating. But what you can see here is the average word count for the top 10 ranking sites. Okay, so it's always quite interesting to see, because if you look at it, the average for the top 10 sites are 2,037 words. And then all the ones who are below, like, look, 949, less than 1,000 words, basically. And they're all 11 to 50, So you can see that in order to give yourself the best shot at ranking, and what Google wants to see is 2,000 words on average. And then you can also, what you can also do is you can take and add like, different sites out of the equation as well. Because if you see something like Amazon or something that has like a stupidly high authority and they're just ranking, like something like Groupon, they're probably just ranking because they're Groupon, because they have such an authority. So you can factor those ones out as well. There's ways of selecting them in and out and so on and so forth. But say, for example, you've done your word count, so you know exactly, how many words you need to have and whatever else. Then we need to see, okay, the keywords that we're missing, or how to optimize the article. So the way you would do that with this, say, for example, we come down and we pick one of these random articles, you'll see what I'm talking about. So if you're in position 5, say, for example, and you wanted to audit your site, that's Yelp. So let's go to a different site. Let's go to one that just looks quite genuine. If we're to go down, let's have a look at, let's go down a bit more. SB Nation, USA Today, Crunch.com. Okay, let's go to this Crunch.com one. I don't know, maybe this, yeah? So if we take a look at this, it brings up all these errors. And what's interesting about this is we can see that the on-page SEO for this site
or this page specifically is bad. Yeah, you can see all the changes, and you want to first of all come in and make the changes to the phrases first, because once you've done that, then you can go into making changes to individual words. Now the ideal number you want to go for, or percentile, is 70% or above. Okay, so anything that's 70% or above relevancy you want to make changes on, and you can make them, you know, according to the suggested. Get them ideally in the green, but if you can get it yellow, that's fine as well. And just to show you what that looks like, that's the green and yellow once you've done that. Okay, and what we want to do is basically, if we have our article and we've got this, look, this is the main keyword this site's trying to rank for, and they haven't got it within the body. And also, one of the tips I want to give you is, this is the body words. Always pay attention to the body words and not the other thing, because basically, when you look at a page, say we go to workout classes or something like that, or whatever it is, yeah. If we click on, say for example, one of these articles, so let's go to, like, you know, crunch.com or something that we clicked on. So this is a bad example because it hasn't got any content. These are just like authority sites. Let's just see, yeah, workout classes, types of workout. Let's just do that because we have like more article based sites. Okay, so if you just click like how much word count does it have on the page, it's going to include this, that, this up here, this title, this stuff, all of that, everything that shows. So even all of this, yeah, you don't want that. You only want to know what's inside of the actual like article. So that's the body. So that's this part from there, the heading to the conclusion. That's all you want to know, and that's what that replicates. Okay, so even when you look inside of here, say for example we go to that crunch again and we audit that, well basically that's not the same site, is it? But we can use it for an example, it doesn't matter. I mean, let's just have a look. Crunch. Okay, so that was the site. So if we look at this, we can see it will also give us like a word count that we need to go for. So it's got like how many backlinks you would need in order to the top, in comparison to the top 10 to rank. Okay, so sometimes it's like a stupendous amount and you are not going to be able to compete with that. You could just obviously try and get highly authoritative links, but you can see, look, so this page also has 2 H1 elements. That's a SEO fail. You know, so that means they've got 2 big massive titles on the page, yeah, on the crunch one. And then it also gives you like a word count on here somewhere as well. Can't remember exactly where it is, but if you can't find it here anyway, let's have a look. Yeah, that's it there. So you want to pay attention to the word count on this bit here. So you can see, look, it says only 189, and it's saying add 1048 to 1600 words into the body. And you can see this within the graph. You want to look at this, you can see the top 10. Look, number 1, number 3, 4 and 5, so the top 5, sorry, are up here. Look, so you want to be right in the middle up there, like around there, and it's telling you how to get there. So that's what you want to do. So you can read this and it will tell you all that information. But what's more interesting about this is obviously this shows you how many times you need to place the keyword within the length of content. So it actually takes all of the data of the top 10 sites and then tells you exactly what kind of range of word count you need, and then how many times throughout that article you need to use the keyword. So it's the actual true density, they call it. And then there's other keywords that you probably wouldn't have picked up on that it also tells you to include, and it gives you the amount of times that you need to include it. So this will really ramp up your on-page SEO, and this is like the final step of your on-page SEO as well. And then obviously you've got the actual specific words. Now, although I pay attention to only 70% or above, if you do see something that's telling you to remove keywords that's under 70%, still pay attention to that and take those actions, because you're over optimizing. And the worst thing you can do is over optimize. So even simple words like this you might think is innocent, you can see that Google, ideally according to this tool, doesn't want to see it. So you would remove 2 of them because the average is 1, or the suggested is 1. So 1 count of that keyword is in the top 5, you know. So anything that's below 70% and says remove, you must remove. But aside from that, anything that says, you know, remove or add in above 70%, you want to do all of them and get them in the green or yellow. Okay, and that's how you use that. So that's Surfer SEO. Now everything's going to be based on backlink velocity. So when you're actually doing your off-page SEO and all of your backlinks and whatever else, you're going to need like a velocity. Okay, so when you're doing that, you want to basically be able to justify your backlinks with social signals, and you want to be able to justify your social signals with traffic, as I've shown you. So what you need to do in order to justify all of this is you need to have traffic first and then have social signals, because it's emulating virality. And then after that is where you would get the links, like in a real business, like, you know, when you get shared on social media and then you start getting a ton of people linking to you. So the way that you would do that is basically by keeping an average link velocity in comparison to at a good ratio to your amount of social signals and traffic on that page. So for an average of a site or a page, sorry, getting 1,000 views per month, you could basically send about 2 to 10 backlinks for that, and obviously around 200 social signals. So that's ideally what you would want to do. But of course, ultimately, there's different ways you can actually check this for your specific keyword that you're trying to rank for. One of the ways is you could go over to a site called Ahrefs and use the backlink checker. And what you would do there is you would check all of the top URLs that are ranking for these different keywords. So say, for example, workout classes, I don't know, I'll put guess right there, but workout classes. Okay, so just say we take this here and then we drum it into the tool. What the tool's going to do is it's going to tell us the average amount of backlinks that the URL has. So you want to change it to exact URL, and then you want to select backlinks. So you want to see like how many sites are linking to it. Okay, so how many links it has. So let's have a look. Sorry, referring domains. Okay, so this has no backlink, so this is not a good example. But let's go back and try and find a different one where we would have it, like something just obvious that will have backlinks. So maybe something like this. Okay, so you can see this one, like it has like one backlink. Okay, so it has one backlink going to it from Cosmopolitan as well. Okay, but what you would do is, even if we take a different one, sometimes this happens in SEO as well. So it shows you a real example. Let's have a look at this. Okay, so this is a good example. This is like a shareable piece of content. This will most definitely have a few. There we go. So you can see here that this has all of these backlinks, and it shows you obviously how many they have and where they're coming from. But what you would do is do this for like the top 5 or top 10 and basically work out an average of how many links they have. And then you can check things like Moz velocity, link velocity, to see how many times on average these sites are getting the link. So if it's like 2 every 3 months or whatever, you would want to replicate that. If it's 2 every whatever, you can replicate that. But of course you can do it at a faster pace than that. There are different ways of doing that, but I'm not going to explain that all in this video. So just follow what the top 5 or top 10 are doing, or just keep it simple and maybe like 1 or 2 links a month if you're going to do like 10 links to the page. Okay, and that's how you would do that. Now, one of the other links that you can get, like at the end of your SEO process, not at the end, but the big power kind of house links that are going to build up the overall authority of your site and really make your site bulletproof, are editorial links. So what these are is from websites like, I don't know, say fitness.com or menshealth.com, or, you know, a news website or something like that. That's where your website is really getting like a big powerful link, and these are really gonna, you know, drive your overall authority of your site up in the search engines. So like, why you would use these kind of links is to make yourself a lot more authoritative. So when you post new content, you don't even really need to have links or have that many links in order to rank. So it's going to be a lot easier because of the leveraged authority that you'll have. Okay, or in some circumstances, you know, this could be very good in order to basically make your site bulletproof through future updates for SEO. So if there are several updates coming out or whatever, your site will always be perceived as to be more trustworthy, because you have all of these big powerful authorities linking to you and saying that you are, and giving you these votes, as we said throughout the video. All right, so one of the places you can get that's a trustworthy place to get editorial links is search.io. And what's funny is right now the signing is not actually working. I'm not sure why. But on here, you can get all of those big, massive authority websites that are basically selling links here. You know, some of them are 100 odd pounds or 200, 500 they go up to, whatever, but it's going to be well worth it. It's an investment, and this is where you would potentially purchase that. And that is it. Honestly, you can go and do searches for other editorial, you know, web editorial backlinks or whatever, and go read some articles or something like that, and you'll find other vendors, if that one's not working, that are selling them. But just make sure they're credible sources. And yeah, that's it. You would send some editorial links, and you would factor that into your overall backlink profile in the link velocity method that I'm showing you, you know. And that is it. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I do know I could have went in depth with some more things, but you have to understand it's so hard to explain all of this in one video. And look at this. These are all the different parts of the video, and then I've also got like another 3 parts that I've already edited, so it's ridiculously long already. And trying to cram it all in and re-record it and everything is just very, very difficult. So just understand that I put a lot of effort into this video, and please leave me a like if you do appreciate that and you did enjoy the video. If you do have any questions, which I can understand you might have, then just leave them in the description box, in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you ASAP with an answer, because I know there's going to be some grey areas that I may have left you know, unturned, or you may not truly understand. So just leave your comments and I'll get back to you, and I'll help you along in that section there. But this is the crash course SEO tutorial for my channel for 2020. I may do a second one throughout the rest of the year if things do change, but currently this is what I found to be working in SEO. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.